Wenzel Jones.
And I'm John Dyer V.
With NewsWrap, a summary of some of the news in or affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending May 21st, 2022. Two of Poland's designated LGBT-Free Zones won liberation this week. The Provincial Administrative Court in Lublin has overturned the homophobic resolutions passed by the Lublin Regional Assembly and a county within its jurisdiction. The Assembly had charged that the goal of LGBTQ rights advocates was to annihilate the values shaped by the Catholic Church in one of the world's most Roman Catholic countries. So in April 2019, it resolved to reject what it called homopropaganda. Ricky County followed about a month later with a resolution it said was to protect children, young people, families, and Polish schools from what it called the homo terror being spread by left liberal groups. More than 100 regional or municipal declarations like these have been enacted since that time. The provincial court ruled on May 9th that both the Lublin Regional Assembly and the Ricky County declarations were adopted without legal basis and in gross violation of the law. The court did not mince words. It said that both governments had created an intimidating, hostile, and offensive atmosphere for LGBTQ people by portraying them as a threat to government and an evil that must be fought. Pink News now counts 9 LGBT-Free Zone declarations to be voided by Polish courts. Other jurisdictions have voluntarily dumped their declarations to avoid losing badly needed funds from their queer-supportive European Union benefactors.
Lawmakers in Lithuania have proposed a so-called compromise civil unions law for lesbian and gay couples, following last year's failed effort to provide them with many more benefits. Sponsors insist it's the only version that has a chance of passing in the country's unicameral legislature, the Seimas. The draft unromantically defines a civil union as a voluntary agreement between two persons registered following the procedure laid down by legislation by which they seek to establish, develop, and protect their relationship. Civil union agreements would be certified by a notary rather than at a civil registry office like heterosexual marriages. Agreements would lay out property rights and mutual obligations and establish what happens if the union is dissolved. The proposal also offers mutual hospital visitation rights and health care decisions, and each partner gets the right to legally act on the other's behalf. Adoption, recognition of paternity, and parental authority are not included, and the measure does not allow shared surnames. The compromise bill is still too much for opponents, who warn that it will undermine traditional family values or even provoke neighboring Russia as anti-LGBTQ Putin continues his invasion of Ukraine. Other lawmakers are disappointed that such a watered-down set of rights was the best they could do to grant queer couples in Lithuania at least minimal legal recognition. They'll still vote for it. As one said, such a solution is better than no solution.
Tennessee's bathroom warning signs have been rejected by a U.S. district court. The law, now permanently blocked by an injunction, required businesses with one or more unisex bathrooms to post signs informing customers that it allowed the use of restrooms by either biological sex, regardless of the designation on the restroom. Violators could be criminally prosecuted. On May 17th, U.S. District Judge Alida A. Trauger upheld a July 2021 preliminary injunction based on First Amendment free speech rights. Trauger called the measure a brazen attempt to single out trans-inclusive establishments and force them to parrot a message that they reasonably believe would sow fear and misunderstanding about the very transgender Tennesseans whom those establishments are trying to provide with some semblance of a safe and welcoming environment. Republican Governor Bill Lee signed the bill last year after it sailed through the Republican-dominated state legislature. Earlier this month, Lee signed a bill to ban trans women from competing in school sports based on their gender identity at the collegiate level. Trans females were already banned from participation in middle and high school sports.
Alabama's law against gender-affirming care for transgender kids has been partially blocked by a federal judge. The law makes it a felony offense for healthcare professionals to treat trans youth under 19 even with parental approval. It punishes offenders with up to 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $15,000. Trump-appointed U.S. District Court Judge Lyles Burke issued a preliminary injunction on May 13th. He found what he called a substantial likelihood that provisions of the Vulnerable Child Compassion and Protection Act that deny medically approved puberty blockers or hormone therapies are unconstitutional. Burke barred officials from enforcing that portion of the act pending trial. That good news was tempered by Burke's decision to keep other provisions of the law in force. He'll allow school officials to out transgender students to their parents and forbids those officials from encouraging or ordering children not to come out to their parents. The provision against gender-affirming surgeries on minors also stands, but that is not standard practice anyway. Alabama's Republican Governor Kay Ivey signed the gender-affirming care ban into law in April. She called the injunction a temporary legal roadblock. The U.S. Justice Department has joined a number of queer legal advocacy groups, healthcare providers, and families challenging the entire law as unconstitutional.
The Australian state of Victoria broke its own IDAHOBIT record on May 17th. IDAHOBIT is the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Intersexism and Transphobia, and in recognition of the event, 68 of Victoria's 79 local councils flew the rainbow pride flag. It's an annual tradition in some places, but it's a first for others and a particularly difficult birth for the West Wimmera Shire Council. If that rings a bell, a few weeks ago the council rejected a motion to fly the flag, and Mayor Bruce Meyer made comments equating LGBTQ advocacy with support for pedophilia. Global scorn and condemnation followed. However, council members reversed themselves just in the nick of time. At a special meeting on May 9th, they cleared the way for the Rainbow Pride flag to fly above the various rural regional council district buildings. Patrick Quain of the Wimmera Pride Project told The Guardian Australia, "It has been incredible to see the allies in the West Wimmera Shire and their LGBTIQ+ community rally together to show the country Bruce's comments do not reflect their community." Quain added that the process had been exhausting and asked, "Can't we all just show each other a bit of respect?"
The United Kingdom has its first out and proud professional football player since 1990. Thankfully, the environment is more welcoming for Blackpool forward Jake Daniels than it was for his predecessor, the late Justin Fashanu. Daniels told his story this week to Sky Sports because he said, "I am ready to be myself, be free, and be confident with it all." He's had the proverbial long and winding road, knowing he was different by the age of 4 or 5, but believing that he could never realize his dream of becoming a professional footballer if he was gay. Coming out now at the age of 17, Daniels says he hopes to be a role model for others who may want to follow suit. In a statement posted to the team website, Daniels wrote, "I just want to tell them that you don't have to change who you are or how you should be just to fit in. You being you and being happy is what matters most." When footballer Justin Fashanu came out 30 years ago, the homophobic response drove him to an early retirement and eventual suicide. Today, Daniels enjoys the support of the team and his family. One of the first to congratulate him on social media was Australian footballer Josh Cavallo. The Adelaide United player became the first out player down under last year. Jake Daniels signed with Blackpool in February and made his professional debut earlier this month.
Finally, Britain's Royal Mint has issued the first coin of the realm to celebrate LGBTQ people, a 50-pence coin just in time for the 50th anniversary of London's first Pride March. Pride organizers partnered with the Mint to make the announcement this week. The coin has the usual portrait of the Queen on one side. The other is emblazoned with all the colors of the rainbow flag, plus black and brown stripes representing people of color, and pink, light blue, and white for transgender pride. It's engraved with the Pride in London slogan, protest, visibility, unity, and equality. The colorful coin is only commemorative and won't be in actual circulation, but it will be available for purchase in the next few weeks.
That's NewsWrap, global queer news with attitude, for the week ending May 21st, 2022. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
NewsWrap is written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian DeShazer, and brought to you by you.
Thank you. Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org. where you can also read the text of this newscast, and much more.
And you can read the transcript and listen to NewsWrap each week by subscribing to our This Way Out radio channel on YouTube. For This Way Out, I'm Wenzel Jones. Stay healthy.
And I'm John Dyer V. Stay safe.
Listening is an act of love. Thank you.
This Way Out delivers LGBTQ news and culture to more than 150 local communities on radio stations around the world. And we are also a free online news service.
You can choose your favorite way to listen, online or on the air, at thiswayout.org.
Please sign up for our free e-newsletter, Inside This Way Out.
We'll respect your trust in us and make sure your personal information is never shared with others.
Just send us an email at info@thiswayout.org to receive the informative and unique addition to the show.
You'll be invited to join us for a more in-depth look into our stories and be encouraged to learn more about This Way Out's 3 decades of broadcast activism.
We hope you choose to join us in celebration of LGBTQ history and culture.
Email us at info@thiswayout.org to join the movement.
We'll make sure you always know what's going on inside This Way Out.